So what do you do when you put everything you have into a project or a business just for it to fail? Are you gonna fold like a cheap chair? Are you gonna learn from the experiences, adjust, and try it again? Now in this video, we're gonna talk about how one of my biggest failures was the catalyst to my success. Now, if you're new to the channel, my name is Devin Lars, and for the past 15 years, I've been in the branding, merchandising, and advertising business. I run an agency called Kurieo, where we work with some of the biggest brands in the world to help tell their story on and offline. If you want to check out some of our work, you could click the link in the description below. Now, in this video, I want to address something that I think is super important when it comes to entrepreneurship, right? Entrepreneurship has so many crazy ups and downs and arounds and spins and things of that nature. I think it was time for me to address or just kind of talk about the mindset, right? This series, the videos that I'm putting out is not only going to show the process and the tactical side of things of how you can do stuff, but then also the mindset of what has gotten us here and how we've been able to accomplish the success that we've gotten. Because I think the software is just as important as the hardware, right? It's the stuff that's inside here, the mindset, how you look at stuff, how you adapt to things. So I want to start in these videos and these weekly uploads, just kind of talking about mindset and things of that nature. And I think failure is such a huge part, especially as entrepreneurs trying to launch projects. Maybe you've launched a brand before and it didn't work, or maybe you're trying to relaunch it because it didn't work, or maybe you're nervous because you're scared to fail. So this video is going to kind of cover it. I'm gonna correlate and use a story that's actually relevant to today's climate of how one of my biggest failures was the catalyst to my success, right? Just like I said in the title and the intro. And so I want to take you guys back. It's crazy because it was actually 4 years ago, and it was when Hillary and Donald Trump was going for the presidency, right, in 2016. And I remember, things were just so divided. Not as bad as it is now, but it was pretty bad in 2016, right, in that first election. I know a lot of people didn't think Donald Trump could win and all this stuff, and it was but you could see this divide, right? It was a lot of negativity. There was a lot of stuff going on. And I was driving in the car with my brother, and I was just like, man, this is just stupid. We all need to just come together. We need to be united. There's so much more. We have so much more in common than we think if we just open up conversation and realize we all kind of really want the same things. It's just how we do there and how we get there and how we communicate is different. And so, my brother was just saying, look, that's something that we should run with. Let's be united. Because we were talking about launching a new collection or doing something for doing everything different. We didn't know really what it was going to be. But I was just talking to him how frustrated I was. And so, we had this idea, and I got super excited. We were headed to Starbucks, and I got my coffee, and I was really excited about this concept that we can do, for this campaign called Let's Be United, right? How can we showcase that in a way that's visual, and then we can do some product that represents it. So it was such a crazy process. I got my team together. I brought them in the conference room that following day, and I was like, look, we're getting ready to do this campaign. We went full guns blazing, right? We just went all in on this campaign. We spent a bunch of money at that time. I was we had two offices. We had our manufacturing facility where we were doing all of our production in-house, and I had a whole team at our manufacturing facility in Fremont. And then we had our main office in Union City where I had the creative team or whatever. And so we had these kind of two divisions, right? It was we had this manufacturing facility that I really just didn't like. I just really wasn't passionate about it, but it was paying the bills. We were doing a lot of production for other people's, products and stuff like that. And so when we were putting together this campaign, it kind of took away from the attention that I had on the manufacturing facility on that side. And so that side kind of started to suffer because all my attention was going to this campaign that we were building out. And so we spent about 3.5 months building out this campaign, right? Putting this together, thinking through every single detail, right? Thinking about a commercial, thinking about a photo shoot, thinking about product, thinking about custom packaging, thinking about all this stuff. Actually, what I showed you guys in the last video, this is actually the custom box that we put together for the campaign, and this was part of the packaging. And so as you can see, we kind of we paid attention to all the details, right, from packaging to design to storytelling, all the stuff. We spent a bunch of money on packaging that we really didn't have. We ended up getting I want to say we ordered 500 boxes and something got messed up, and they ended up shipping 1,000 of them. So we had 1,000 of these boxes that came in from China, and we had it all in our warehouse. So we're prepping and getting ready for this big launch. We had a big photo shoot. We were hyping it up on social media. We were talking about it. We put a press release together. And so we're like putting this like full campaign together for, for doing everything different. And it was very like a public thing, right? Like all my friends, all my family knew about it. They were, excited about the release and everything like that. We started to like document the process and the behind the scenes. Now this was in like 2016, right? So we didn't have our agency. We just had our screen printing and manufacturing company, and then we had doing everything different, our brand. And so I didn't really know about marketing, right? I really didn't know about running, ads on social media. I didn't really know about Instagram ads. I knew that they worked because they would work on me, right? Because I would see stuff that I liked. I just didn't know how to like properly put ads together. But I was like, okay, we're going to test it out. We're going to try. So we were like putting this whole thing together. We got a budget together. Actually, like realistically, a budget that we really didn't have. Like we really didn't have the money. We were taking money away from our manufacturing facility and like betting everything on this campaign to work. And it was, I got a lot of feedback from it of like, oh, this, we were trying to align with a nonprofit, and there was just like all these moving pieces. And then, people were saying, oh, this probably is not going to work. You're probably charging too much for these boxes. Just a lot of criticism, right? And in my mind, I was thinking this is the best idea on planet Earth, right? And I'm thinking like, oh, I'm going to get so much support from media outlets because we're trying to do something positive. We did a whole campaign around just like opening up communication and coming together and being united and like trying to just, trying to really put positivity out in the world. And I remember like getting ready to roll it out. And I remember when we ended up rolling it out, and it just didn't do good. It didn't do good at all. I mean, a lot of people were like watching the videos, a lot of people were like looking at the pictures and saying, oh, that was cool, but we didn't sell anything. Like, I think we sold probably 2 or 3 packages, and then like maybe like 2 shirts. And the 2 or 3 packages were like from our friends. And I remember I was just getting frustrated the first time that the first like week that we launched, and like there wasn't momentum around everything. Like we had plans, we had prepped, we did these videos, we did the packaging, we invest all the time. So on paper, it looked like we did everything correct and trying to be positive, right? And trying to like put some positive energy into the world. And I remember we reached out to like media sites to like feature us and stuff like that. And they were like, oh, no, thank you. We got an automated response. No, thank you. We don't want to feature you. And I remember like just getting really frustrated because I'm like, I put all this energy into it. I thought it was the dopest project. I thought it was positive. It was like all this stuff, and it just didn't work, and I remember like talking to my brother about it and just being like, bro, I don't understand. Like I was super frustrated. And I remember him telling me like, don't look at like the sales and look at like what this is doing, but look at what this could potentially do in the bigger scheme of things, right? And I just remember I was very like depleted, right? And then as we were doing all this stuff, like I said, I took money away from the manufacturing facility. So my team at the manufacturing facility was suffering from me making the decisions and betting everything on this project. And I remember I had to go and tell my production manager that his check was going to be like a couple days late because we had to wait for another check because we then overspent on all this stuff. We weren't really looking at our budget and we overspent. And I just remember before I like went there, I pulled over into a parking lot and I called my mentor, and I was just so frustrated with him. I was just like, or not with him, but I was just so frustrated on the phone. And I was just telling him like, man, I feel like I'm like wasting my life in this manufacturing facility, in this warehouse, printing other people's shirts instead of like contributing to the world. And I know I could do something. I know like my voice and the stuff that I want to do and the ideas that I want to have can like help people. And I know it could be so much bigger than just in a warehouse, just screen printing. And I told him like everything with the project. I'm like, man, what's up with all this? Like there's just so much negativity right now. Like I'm trying to put some positive stuff in the world. And like, it just seems like everybody just wants to hear negativity. Like negativity sells and positivity doesn't. And I just remember I was just so frustrated, and I was just like venting to him, and I was like, I got to go tell, my production manager that his check's going to be a couple days late. So I was just in like a really bad space. And so I remember going there and telling my production manager, and I just remember seeing his face, and he just was like, it was like disappointed. He was just like disappointed that he had to wait. And he didn't know really, I don't think he knew the details of why he had to wait, but it just made me feel like, just not good, right? I just felt like, I just didn't feel good. And so I remember that day, that was on a Friday, because usually he gets paid on Fridays. And I ended up just like, me and my girlfriend at the time, we went to a restaurant, and I just remember, man, I was just so just like, nobody wants to hear this positive stuff. man, I'm gonna just be negative like everybody else. Like I'm gonna just be negative. I'm gonna put some negativity out. Like forget it. Like I'm done with this. Like I reached a breaking point because it was like I put my all into this to really try to do something good, and it was just rejected. And it was like when we looked at like certain media outlets that we thought we would get our support or thought that would support us or whatever, like just completely turned their back on us and like just didn't want to feature us or anything like that. And so I remember I was just in a place of just like defeat. The manufacturing facility wasn't doing good because I took all my time, like completely all my time and resources and put it into this campaign for the last 3 months. So that was suffering. Then this didn't work. And so it just felt like I lost everything, right? It was just like everything was just going bad, right? It was just like everything was going bad. And I talked to my mentor, which is really important, why you should have mentors and people that you can just talk to and throw some ideas that aren't tied up into it emotionally. And, at the time, like I said, I only had the manufacturing facility and we had our clothing brand, but I always liked marketing. I always liked design. I always liked campaigns. I always liked doing stuff like that. Even though it wasn't a successful campaign, I freaking loved it. And I think it was just stuff that I just didn't do. There were certain things that I just didn't do right and I didn't understand. But I loved the process of putting that campaign and that idea and marketing together. And so when I was talking to my mentor, he said, you should start an advertising agency. And I'm like, man, Chris, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, I'm doing too much right now. Well, how am I going to start an advertising agency? And so I got frustrated, right? And I hung up. And so that weekend on Saturday, I didn't know what an advertising agency was, by the way. I had no idea. I didn't know what they did. I didn't know their services. I had no idea what an advertising agency was. So I ended up like looking on my phone, like, what does an ad agency do? And I started to look at some of the services and stuff that ad agencies do. And I'm like, wait. People get paid to come up with like dope ideas for marketing and how to get attention and like putting campaigns and stuff together. Like that's a thing. Like I didn't know that was a thing. And so it had my wheels spinning. I'm like, okay, what if we, instead of this manufacturing facility and being stuck in this manufacturing facility of just doing, these orders and these screen printing, what if we kind of rebranded it as an agency? So it's not just a screen printing company, but it's an agency where we help with marketing, branding, different services, brand identity, campaigns, social media management, different things of that nature, and then kind of rebranded as an actual agency. And I'll tell you, like, it's crazy because that decision was to do that was one of the best decisions I could have ever made in my life. It meant restructuring my business. It meant restructuring my entire business. It meant breaking down the current business that we had and like literally rebuilding from the ground up. And I think that failure of that campaign pushed me into where I needed to be, right? And so as you're starting to build things out and as you're starting to go through the process of entrepreneurship, sometimes it's not your time just yet to do that idea. Sometimes you have to go through more things. You have to acquire more skills. Sometimes you have to acquire more knowledge, more wisdom, more just experiences before you can actually before it's time to like roll that idea out, right? And so for us, and this is just speaking from my personal experience, I brought the team together again and I said, look, we're starting an agency. And they looked at me like I was crazy. Like, what are you talking about? I said, look, we're starting an agency. This is what an advertising agency is. I don't know what it's about, but we have other customers that saw the campaign that we did that was asking us, hey, can you do that for us? And so I was like, okay, cool. There's something here, right? There's something here. People are asking us for this. And so I started asking some of my clients, hey, would you be interested in some marketing service or advertising services? And they were like, yeah, we would love to do that. Let me know. I'll be the first person to be in line to purchase it. And so I'm like, all right, cool. We're on to something here. So we went in the lab and we started coming up with names. I told my team, hey, look, like, it's not about like your name for our agency, right? It's not about your name or any business. It's about what you make the name. And so I started searching domains and I started searching through different things and I came with like crazy, different, stupid names and I'm just throwing names out there. And then I run across Kurieo, right? And Kurieo is something that's a small collector's item that creates interest. It sparks curiosity. And so I looked in and I couldn't spell it. It's usually Curio. And I'm like, agencies do weird stuff, so they spell things different. So I said, what if we do it Kurieo? And I looked at it, the domain was available. I purchased it and I went inside my design room and I told the team, all right, so our agency is called Kurieo. And they were like, what? That sounds like Cheerio. That sounds like Oreo, right? And it sounded weird at first, but I said, it's trust me, it'll grow on you. It's about what you make it. It's not about the name. It's about what you make it into. And so from there, then we started, building our agency. And I would love to just say it was a straight ride up from there, but it was not. I think what happens is when you make fundamental changes and you go from like what we were doing to like going and building an agency, my team got nervous because they're like, oh, there's a lot of uncertainty here, right? There's a lot of uncertainties. Like, are we going to change up? Is this even going to work? You know, we're restructuring the business. We're like from the ground up. Like, I don't really know. So some of my best people ended up leaving. Like one of my best person that we were designing, one of our creative director told me like, I think it was like 2 months or maybe a month after we started the agency, which now the agency is heavy on design and creativity and all this stuff. So like he was going to be my right hand man. And he ended up telling me that he was leaving and going to HP. And it was like, you know, there was two sides of it, right? Number one, I was super happy for him. He got a really good job. He got a really good position. And I was like genuinely happy for him. I thought it was a really, really good and smart move for him to make, even though it was at my detriment, right? Even though it was going to be a lot more challenging for me now starting this creative agency where now I'm going to have to lead creative as well for my right hand man, especially building this out to leave. I knew it was the right decision for him. And I knew that there was going to be a lot of rocky roads ahead of us in rebuilding this agency and rebuilding the foundation of everything. And so, you know, I was happy for him. So he ended up, you know, he did, got mad respect for him. He's like, look, I'm gonna give you like another like month and a half or whatever it was to make sure that we can transition out and everything like that. He didn't just like dip. You know, we've had employees that just like didn't even say anything. They just left. But he was just like, you know, he was like super cool with it. And he ended up doing like design work on the side and all this stuff. But long story short, it was a challenging road. You know, he ended up leaving. You know, I had to go through the rebuilding phase and literally rebuild it by myself. We ended up closing our offices. I moved in the house to just like really focus from the ground up, because on the outside of things, our business looked great, right? We had the offices, we had the employees, we had this, and this, but our foundation of the business was not solid. You know, we didn't have, you know, a finance team. We didn't have a COO. We didn't have any of the like fundamental things that you need to run a business. I was doing everything. You know, I was trying to do everything and it just wasn't working. And so we ended up closing the facilities, and I went into the house and I set up a home office, and I worked and I built it up from the ground up. And I said, we need to restructure all of this. I brought on a COO. We brought on an accounting team. We brought on just a foundation to be able to build. And so as we started to build, it took a long time. It took a really, really long time to build the processes and everything in place. And after like I want to say 2 years of like building everything up, we started to get some momentum. We started to pick up consistent clients. We started to pick up all this stuff. And then we ended up picking up our first retainer contract that allowed us to bring our creative director back, right? So after he left, he always said that, look, I'm gonna come back eventually. And my goal was to always get him back on the squad, right? Because he was just such an important piece and we worked really well together. I could give him an idea and he just runs with it and just makes it like phenomenal. And so I just remember my goal was like, okay, we need to get him back. We need to get him back. And so, you know, after 2.5 years of him being at HP, he ended up, you know, we made him an offer and he came back, and he's currently here, and he's been here, I want to say 1.5 years now. And, yeah, and our team is, you know, our team has grown since then. We've done the arena takeover with Nike. We picked up clients with Sequoia Capital, with Starbucks. We did a huge project with Starbucks. Like, the agency has grown so much, and I've been able to. So before, it was like I was having to do every single thing, and it was like if I got sick or if I was out, everything stopped, right? And so I wanted to make sure that we didn't duplicate that, right? We didn't repeat that same mistake where if something happens to me, that the business stops, right? That's not a business that you have then if that's the case. And so what we focused on is like, okay, how can we make the day-to-day operations run without me having to work in it? Whether I could be working on something else, whether I get sick, something happens, whatever it is, the business stays running. So my COO and I set up processes and systems, and we're still working on it. It's not like flawless, but it's like incredibly better than what it was, where things run. I don't run the day-to-day operations. We have a whole accounts team. We have a design team. We have our finance team. We have our creative team. So we have entire teams that are like able to manage and to be able to build all this stuff out. And so it's just been something that has like, it's just been an incredible journey. And there's been so many more failures. I mean, that's just the biggest recent one. And I think it was I think it was funny because it was 4 years ago during the last election cycle. And then now, you know, 4 years later, you know, we have our agency, right? And things are in a better position, and we're actually in a position to be able to launch and roll out doing everything different. And we're able to financially do it and not take away from any of the other sides of the business. And we have our team. So what I'm telling you is, if you get anything from this video, I'm just telling you that sometimes those things that you look at as failures end up being the best things that could have happened for you. You have to look at the learning lessons. Every time I've went through a failure, every time I've went through a setback, every time I've went through something, I've always gotten something from it. There's always been some sort of lesson there that has taught me or been valuable on stuff on the next situation that I need to go. It's like new levels, new devils, right? So it's like every failure has taught me something to bring to the next level, to sharpen my game, to make sure that I'm able to deliver. And it's weird. It's like the universe, God won't give you stuff unless you're ready for it, right? So there was a lot of times that I was like, I kept making the same mistakes over and over and over. And I was only able to go to a certain point. I was only able to accomplish a certain level of success because I wasn't learning the lesson. I kept repeating the same stupid stuff over and over and over. So I think it's a forever process, and you just have to figure out, okay, where are the shortcomings from you? Not being impatient. Things take time. Things take time. I've been doing this and learning since 2005, like literally since 2005, every single day, after failure, after failure, after failure, after failure, after failure, after failure. I mean, there was a certain point, and I'm going to make a whole separate video on this, but there was a point in time where I went to In-N-Out to try to get a cheeseburger and fries. That was $5, and my card got declined because I couldn't afford a $5 cheeseburger and fries. And I was with my brother, and I took the receipt, and I was happy as hell about it, and I left because I couldn't get no food. So I left, and I hung that receipt, the declined receipt from In-N-Out, on my office wall. And he was like, "What are you doing? Why are you happy about not being able to afford a $5 cheeseburger?" I said, "Because I know that I'm gonna be able to look back at this and know that this is where I started from, not being able to afford a $5 freaking cheeseburger." And I think it's just it's just a mindset, right? It's just a mindset. If you look at life and especially entrepreneurship, if you look at entrepreneurship as a game, this is just a game. Money are points on the board, right? It's just points on the board. How many points can you put up, right? So if you look at it as a game and look at failures and look at all these things that you learn as a game and you start gamifying it, it takes the pressure off of it, and it takes the anxiety out of it, and it becomes fun and something that you look forward to instead of something that you're like dreading, right? Or don't want to do, or scared, or it's creating all this anxiety and stuff. It's just a game. It's just a game. If you can look at it that way, if you can put it in context with that way, have fun with it, roll with the punches, and learn what the universe, what God, all these lessons are trying to tell you. The failures sometimes are the catalyst to your success. Most of the time. For me, it's been like all of the time, right? It's like always prepared me to the next level. And I think without those failures, without all of those thousands and thousands of failures, both big and small, I wouldn't be where I am today. And I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing today. And it's just an incredible feeling to know that like I'm able to do what I'm doing on my own terms. And it's just because I didn't quit. I just didn't give up. And so I really want you guys to understand that whatever it is that you're going through, whatever failures, maybe it's recent, maybe it's something in the past that you're stuck on of like, oh, it's holding you back from moving forward. Just take the learnings from it and apply it to this new situation. Just keep going. Like, what else do you have to lose? People are going to see it and like laugh at you and like say you suck. It's like, who cares? The only people that are going to make fun of you or laugh at you or say you're not doing stuff is people that aren't in the game. People that are in the game, they're not criticizing you because they're, number one, they know what you're going through. And number two, they're in the game trying to figure it out. Don't worry about the freaking crowd, right? They're not in the game. They're just spectators. They do not matter. They're irrelevant. I don't care if that's your parents. I don't care if that's your best friends. I don't care who it is. It's irrelevant. If they're not in the game, it's not important. And I know that's hard to break through I know it's a hard concept to go through, but you're going to have to develop that mindset and that strength to be able to be an entrepreneur, because you're going to fail, and you're going to fail publicly, and it's not going to feel good, but it's part of the process. It's what you got to go through. It's the cost of entry. My mentor always told me, if you want the heat, you want the seat, you got to take the heat. It comes with it. So if you want to live life on your own terms, if you want to be an entrepreneur, if you want to do that, this is what it takes. Failure is part of the process. So I just wanted to share that story with you. I think that was, something that was on my mind. I thought it was relevant, like I said, with the election and everything here. We're going to continue showing you the process of doing everything different. We got some really cool stuff. We're going to launch our first collection at the beginning of the year, doing everything different, new year. It's a dope little concept that we're running off of. So I'm really excited about that. We just got our package design. And if you haven't kept up with the videos, you can check out this series of building, doing everything different, and kind of see the previous videos of what we've been building. But we got the first round of the custom packages that I was showing you done. Looks really good, the mock-ups of it. Next, we're moving into the website, then photo shoot, product sampling, all that stuff. So, you know, like I said, we're going to continue to take you on the journey of that. But I just thought that this was just, I don't know, sitting on my heart to put this video out. And I think it's going to help so many of you guys to have that perspective and to know that, you know, failure is what comes with success. It just comes with it, you know. So hope this video helps. I will see you guys next week. Have a great week. Peace.